Hi guys, today I'm here to talk about the one and only Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and oh my gosh, this book. It's a pretty big book, and I have a lot of notes here. I have a lot to talk about, so I really don't think there's much I'm going to tell you until I get to the spoilery section. I will say though, if you're just kind of here checking in to see how I liked it, number one, I give it 50 stars out of 5. So I liked it pretty well. And number two, if you haven't started this series yet, definitely read The Assassin's Blade before you get to this book. So you can be like me and you can read the first 3 books and then The Assassin's Blade. Just make sure that you read The Assassin's Blade before you get to this book. I really think it's going to help you. And that's pretty much it. So the rest of this, I'm just going to be talking about spoilers and I'm going to be discussing this book. So please only stay if you have read this book through and or you just don't care to be spoiled. So much happened in this book. Everything I've wanted to happen happened with Aedion, with well, not exactly with Dorian. No, well, actually yes, because at the end of Heir of Fire, he got the collar put on, and I just was so afraid for him, and I just didn't know what was going to happen. So I am happy that, you know, not only is he free from that, but he has killed his father, which sounds really bad coming out of my mouth, but you guys understand what I'm talking about. He's evil and terrible, and we're all happy he's dead, right? There wasn't anyone that liked him, surely. Got the Aelin Manon encounter that I've been waiting for, but Rowan. I got everything that I wanted to happen with Rowan. So I just recently put up my discussion for Heir of Fire, and in that discussion, I talk about how I believe Aelin and Rowan just make the best team in the whole wide world, and I love them together. Even if it just stays like this awesome platonic friendship, they're still bonded for life, and I love them together. I, however, feel like it was gonna go beyond that. Literally, they're fae. They're primitive fae growling at other people in Heir of Fire because someone else might look at the other wrong. How did you guys miss that? Clearly there was jealousy there. It's just, it was there. The book started though with Dorian, and I already just wanted to cry because Dorian doesn't deserve what happened to him. And oh, so mad at Chaol for leaving him at the end of Heir of Fire. He is his best friend, but he just left him. Just left him to the evil, terrible king. You're such a swell friend, Chaol. Just good job on the friendship. So he gets the collars on, and in the beginning of the book, we just get these short little pages throughout, just reminding us oh, you just had a really cool chapter with Rowan and Aelin. Don't forget about Dorian, who's suffering and wants to die, and he can't even remember his own name. Thanks, Sarah, for the torture. Appreciate it. But the part whenever Aelin saves Aedion and then she encounters Dorian outside, and it said something and then she tried to kill him, was stopped, and then later Dorian was but he wished she had killed him. He hated her for not killing him. And it just, my heart, Dorian, no. I did really believe, though, that Dorian would be saved, at least by the end. I mean, he's the future king of Adarlan, and I was hoping the king would die soon, you know? So we need someone to rule Adarlan, so of course it has to be Dorian, right? Right? And that's what happens in the end. But, yeah, so I figured he'd be saved at some point, but I got scared. I got scared a few times throughout this book that maybe he would just be killed or something. Or just he would turn into an even more evil person than his father, and he would become the new big bad guy or something. I don't know. So I'm glad he's saved. I'm glad that happened. That raw power though, oh my gosh, at the end when he literally kind of just blows up everything and kills his father. And that was super intense. This book's pacing was amazing, by the way. I loved it. And this whole book was just full of just craziness. I love when Aelin comes back and she says, Dorian, we get to come back from this loss, from this darkness. We get to come back, and I came back for you. They're such good friends, and I just love them so much, and I'm so glad that she came back for him and everything's good again. I am really excited to see where the story takes him. I am worried because he kind of just went through being possessed by a demon, kills his father, sort of finds out that his father's been like trapped for like 10 years or whatever, and you know, is now the ruler of Adarlan because his dad's dead. And then his friends just like abandon him on this new throne, and they're just like, see ya, we gotta get my legs fixed, and like, see ya, gotta go fix Terrasen, ciao. I just feel like now is not the best time for Dorian to be left alone with his thoughts. I feel like we're going to get a bit of like what happened with Jace in the Mortal Instruments series. I feel like he, in this next book, is going to be going through all of the torturous memories and things, and I feel like it's going to be really hard for him to just come to terms with that. So hopefully, I'm hoping that for his healing and that things go well for him, because I'm a little worried. I did really like the parts with him and Manon. I saw something on Tumblr that made me laugh, how Dorian encountered his old friends like multiple times. Then he encounters Manon and he's just like, hey, what's up? I'm Dorian. Like, I don't know. I was just like, what, Manon, what? You know, there's a lot more to that with the Vogue princes and the gold eyes of Manon and blah, 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 all that stuff. So that'll be more, I'm sure, in the next book. But I'm really interested in that. And I know that there are people that still ship Aelin and Dorian. I don't, but I respect you, and I think that's fine. I mean, Sarah has thrown in these quotes such as, they were infinite, they were the beginning and the end, they were eternity. The king standing before them gaped as the shield of flame died out to reveal Aelin and Dorian, hand in hand, glowing like newborn gods as their magic entwined. To me, though, that's just about kind of like more about their magic in that moment, and not so much that Sarah plans on them getting together again. To me, they just kind of had a little fling in book one, but they're just meant to be really good friends, and that one day when she's in Terrasen and he's in Adarlan, that they'll be really good allies. And like, I feel like they have something there with their power and like how she came back for him, but I don't personally agree with anything romantic there. So if you feel like that, that's totally fine. However, with people that still think there's a shot with Chaol, I'm sorry, but have you even read books 3 and 4? Because that's immediately what I think when I hear people talking about how Chaol and her are going to be together. There are direct quotes such as, even then she'd understood that what Chaol had done, whom he had chosen, had forever cleaved what was between them. It was the one thing she could not forget, could not forgive. And there's parts about how she talks about how Celaena is dead and that she is Aelin. And there's parts where Chaol talks about how, you know, so Celaena may have chosen him, but Aelin never would, and stuff like that. Over and over and over, Sarah has included these quotes. So I just don't know how everyone is ignoring those or what's happening, but that ship is so dead, and I'm sorry for you guys. Okay, Rowan, oh, okay, so they left, and I was so afraid that it was going to turn into this thing where we just got like a couple chapters from Rowan's perspective, like every now and then, just to remind us that Rowan's alive, but he's not a part of the story. And so I was so happy. I think it was like chapter 27 when he came back, and I just, oh my gosh, I think I like screamed, and I just, oh, and they like ran to each other and they hugged, and they were so happy, and it was just so beautiful. Before that, when he shows up though, I really liked hearing Aedion talk about Rowan and how he was like one of the greatest warriors in history, perhaps the greatest warrior alive, and it just like cracked me up how he was just like fanboying over Rowan, and I was interested to see like what would happen when they met, which wasn't the prettiest of encounters. Like by the end, I feel like they're kind of like brothers, and you know, they fought back to back and everything. But like Aedion was smelling her, a fae thing, you know, and it says Rowan was the most powerful, full-blooded fae male alive, and his scent was all over her, yet she had no idea. And I am still confused sometimes about Fae and how some are like, they're like immortal and they live forever. And then there's like Aedion, who now we have determined through Rowan who his father is. So now I guess Aedion is immortal and will live forever, but I guess Aelin isn't. Because they've talked quite a few times, Rowan's friends have talked about how Aelin's gonna get old and die, and then that's gonna really suck for Rowan. But I'm confused about that. Why doesn't Aelin live forever? Why isn't she immortal? If you guys know, help me out. Oh my gosh, he cut his hair. I love the part, like there were so many parts that just made me laugh out loud with them. And one of the parts was when Aelin's like, hush, your hair was so pretty. I was hoping you'd let me braid it one day. I suppose now I'll have to buy a pony instead. I was so happy to see Rowan interact with Aelin and her friends. He's just the best character, and he's so wise, and he has lived for so long that he's just such a huge benefit to their group. He's just like, oh hey, Aedion, BT dubs, like, I know who your dad is, and oh, Lysandra, oh, you're a shapeshifter, cool. Really quick, Lysandra, hated her in the Assassin's Blade, most of you probably did as well. I love her now, and I'm so happy that Aelin has another girlfriend now that Nehemia has passed, and I just missed her, so I'm happy she's got a girlfriend. And I love the part whenever she's like crying and Aelin's like, oh, like, can't you ever be pretty, or whatever she says, and Lysandra like looks up and she's like, oh, you can be ugly, or something. I just love their friendship, and Aelin she's just one of my favorite characters of all time. I just love Aelin so much. It was so bittersweet to see Aelin start out this book by wearing Sam's clothes to bed and then progress to wearing Rowan's clothes every night. I really am happy that she got to avenge Sam and all that stuff this book. There were just, you know, some loose like kind of ties and everything with that, and so I miss Sam. I wish Sam was still around. Who else gets confused by Aelin and Rowan's like unspoken conversations? Like in book 3, I thought it was more of a, they just get each other so well that they can like look at one another and their face, like they get one another. And then in the book, Sarah kind of like does it in italics or whatever. But in Queen of Shadows, they legit have like a full page conversation together, unspoken. And it's not like, it's like very specific things. Like they're very specific things. And there's one part when Aedion notices it and says something like, that's weird or whatever. So it's not, I don't understand it. Can they talk to each other like without speaking? Or is just, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, and then the part with Arabin, and they're like at the dinner table and she's talking about how she's not wearing underwear. And that was hilarious, by the way. All the flirting in this book was just I freaking loved all of it. And Rowan like slams his knee in the table and is just like, are you trying to kill me? And like all this stuff. So I don't understand. If you guys get it, if I've missed some important part, clue me in, please, because I'm a bit confused. I actually hated the part when they go to see Arabin. I feel like I just had this hand on my heart, and I was just so scared that something terrible was going to happen. I feel like Sarah had her hand on my heart, and at any moment she could write something terrible, and it would just like squeeze my heart and kill me. Kind of like Once Upon a Time style. It was just, the anxiety was too much. Who else noticed the super significant moment between Rowan and Aelin whenever she gives Rowan the lavender scented soap? And she never let Sam use it before, back in the Assassin's Blade, because it was her favorite. It was expensive. And then he died. And she thought back to how stupid it was that she didn't even let him, like his life was so short, and like she could have let him use the stupid soap. And instead she didn't. He used the stupid cheap crap. And so apparently she's learned now, and she lets Rowan use it. And she doesn't, you know, she's learned, and it made me sad. It made me sad that she's had to learn that stuff and that she's lost so many people in her life. It's just heartbreaking. I like that Rowan likes her clothes and that he talks about this dress and how she should wear it, and then she does, like the night that you know, she goes to see Arabin and stuff.